Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Foundational Skills in Life Sciences podcast. We discuss the skills that the life science scholars learn, use, and improve throughout the professional activities. Your benefit is expressed in my motto: learn the skills, enjoy academic life. I'm your host, Dr. Synaptologica. Synaptologica, or synaptology, is a study of synapses where a communication occurs between nerve cells. I'm a neuroscientist and a professor at a university in the United States. Let's start a mini-series. This first mini-series will be about searching for online information. More specifically, it is about how to choose reliable websites for the correct online information. I would like to start this mini-series because we rely on online information very much. Almost every day, we search for information by visiting websites on the internet, by using a desktop computer, a laptop computer, or mobile devices such as a smartphone and a tablet computer. Online information is easy to access, helpful most of the time, and very abundant. So that is very good. But we also know that some websites are not so reliable. They can exaggerate their contents beyond reality. They can blindly copy what was mentioned in other websites, or they can emphasize something which is simply incorrect. We want to learn and enjoy the online information, but at the same time, we do not want to be wrongly affected by the low-quality information in the low-quality websites. How do we decide which websites are reliable and trustworthy? That is what we want to discuss in this mini-series. Just to be clear, when we say information, we mean the information only in life sciences. Our discussion could apply to other science fields and maybe to non-science fields as well, but there's no guarantee. So we will focus on life sciences here without trying to generalize our thoughts and opinions to other fields. Today's episode: is it still important to do traditional online search? Today's episode is the first in this mini-series, so it will serve as a general introduction. When we search for online information, we would type in some words, and the search engine will give us a list of related websites. One typical search engine is Google Search. This method is a traditional online search. In this episode, we would like to ask a starting question. Is it important for us to do traditional online search? I'm recording this episode in July of 2023. Until late last year, that is, until late in 2022, an answer to this question was very clear. It was more than obvious. The answer was, yes, of course. This method of online search was not only necessary, but also critical. Without it, we would not be able to live an academic life. For example, without the traditional online search, we cannot check basic scientific facts that we discuss in classes. We cannot write scientific papers because writing needs solid information about what the other scientists did and did not do before, and what the other scientists knew and did not know before. And without the traditional online search, we cannot check what specific medications mean when we think about our health and disease conditions. Then, what happened late last year? ChatGPT was developed by OpenAI and launched in November of 2022. You must have heard about ChatGPT. I think many of us have already used it. The power of ChatGPT was so shockingly impressive that it triggered people to use it extensively, and it stimulated us to think about how to use it effectively in academia. ChatGPT also attracted much attention to the already ongoing activity in the computer science world, that is, the research and applications of generative artificial intelligence, abbreviated as generative AI or Gen AI. The examples of text-based generative AI tools include OpenAI's ChatGPT, Microsoft's Bing Chat, and Google's Bard. You can easily imagine that those tools are very good at searching for most online information. Some people might even think that the generative AI tools are all we need for online search from now. But is it true in life sciences? at least for now. Structure of today's episode. Here is what we would like to do today. First, we will define two common methods of searching for online information: the traditional Google search and the new ChatGPT. Then I will tell you my personal answer to the question, is it important for us to do traditional online search? Second, I will show you one practical situation where a beginning life science student is trained. This situation will help us understand that we need online information from high-quality sources to think deep. I will pause after that point for today. I have already recorded the entire episode, and it turned out to be long. So I will divide it into two parts. Today's episode will be part 1. The next episode will be part 2. In part 2, we will further think about to what extent ChatGPT can give us the necessary information about scientific question. Lastly, we will come back to my answer and discuss it further. Section 1. Two methods of searching for online information. Before moving on further, let's make sure that we define the common methods of searching for online information. At the time of this recording, there are at least two major methods. 1-1. Online information search in a traditional way. One method is a traditional approach. We typically call it a Google search. By this, I mean the following activity. Suppose you have a question. To look for an answer, you open a web browser and you go to Google, Microsoft Bing, or any search engine you like. Into the search box, you type some words, a phrase, or question in a sentence form. They are called a query. According to Google, a query is defined as, quote, what a user types or speaks into the search system, close quote. So you can speak to a computer or your device as well. By either typing or speaking, you enter words into a search box. Then the search engine will give you a resulting list of web pages related to your query. The search engine has an algorithm for ranking, so that the web page at the top of the list is the most relevant to your query. As you go down the list, the web pages become less and less relevant. The information will include at least 3 items. 1, a title of the web page. 2, the online address of the web page, which is called the Uniform Resource Locator, or URL. And 3, a short copy of the related descriptions in the web page. For example, if you type in, what is ChatGPT, or simply ChatGPT, the search result at the top or near the top will show you this entry. It has 1, the web page entitled Introducing ChatGPT, written by OpenAI, who developed ChatGPT. 2, its URL. And 3, a short copy of the content described as ChatGPT is a sibling model to instruct GPT, Then, if you click or tap on the hyperlinked title, it will open the web page that the URL leads to. You will read the content, and you understand that the ChatGPT developer explains what it is. So at least, the top search result successfully showed one of the most reliable web pages that you would be looking for. If you click or tap on the other hyperlinked titles, they will open other web pages prepared by other authors and organizations. Those web pages can contain similar contents, but they could also contain different pieces of information or different aspects of the same information. After reading many of them, you will be able to formulate a good overview of the information related to your original query. All these search activities are typical with Google search. I have 2 side notes here. Side note 1. Google search has been so efficient that the company name Google is now a transitive verb. According to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, Google means to use the Google search engine to obtain information about someone or something on the World Wide Web. It even has an adjective, Googleable. So you can say, I Googled ChatGPT, when you mean to say, I used the Google search engine to collect online information about ChatGPT. In fact, Google uses it as a verb officially. If you go to the Frequently Asked Questions page of Bard, the Google's version of ChatGPT, Google says, quote, "We see Bard as a complementary experience to Google search. That's why we added the Google It button to Bard, so people can easily move from Bard to explore information from across the web," close quote. By the way, let me add that I will show you all the links and associated source information in my webpage. So please go to synaptologica.com/2. It's number 2 because this is the second episode. So again, please go to synaptologica.com/2. We can find this Google It button at the bottom of each of Bard's responses. Clicking the button starts the Google search for the related topics, including the same starting query that you entered. And by the way, as of July of 2023, we cannot find either ChatGPT or chatbot in a verb form in the Merriam-Webster dictionary. So we cannot say yet, "I ChatGPT'd Google," but it may become available soon. Side note 2. In this episode, I would like to use the term Google search in a broad sense. The Google search in a narrow sense is to use a default search engine in any web browser. The search engine is most commonly Google, but it can be something else. On top of this, the term Google search in a broad sense would include the search engines for scientific papers. The examples are Google Scholar and PubMed. PubMed is a literature database prepared by one of the U.S. government agencies. When we look for scientific papers, we use these additional search engines. We use them in the same way as the Google search in a narrow sense. We will type in words, the search engine will give us a list of websites or papers, and we will pick and read the papers that we become interested in. 1-2. Online information search using generative AI tools. Another method of searching for online information is new. It is to use the generative AI. One example is ChatGPT that we have been talking about. ChatGPT is a chatbot software system which can interact with a user in natural, human-like, text-based conversations. In this case, you can type in not just a few words, a phrase or a sentence, but also some instructions. According to Microsoft, which developed Bing Chat based on ChatGPT, all these entries are called prompts. A prompt is any input provided by a user. A minimum but a good prompt consists of 2 components. 1, context. 2, task or query. If a prompt only has a question, then it is the same as a query. But you would want to give more information to ChatGPT so that its answer becomes more relevant and more in-depth for your purpose. So the more context you give to ChatGPT, the better the answer will be. As a brief test, I asked a simple question to ChatGPT. What are 5 examples of conversational tasks that ChatGPT can do? It answered the following 5 bullet points in an instant. 1. Answering questions. For example, providing information, explanations, and insights in response to your question. 2. Creative writing assistance. For example, providing suggestions, brainstorming ideas, drafting emails, essays, or poems. 3. Language translation. For example, providing translations of words, phrases, or sentences from one language to another. 4. Personal assistance. For example, suggesting recipes, recommending movies or books, and offering general advice or tips. And 5. Learning and education. For example, engaging in discussions and providing critical thinking exercises. This answer is great, and it is to the point of what I wanted to know. By the way, I edited the content to some extent because I was unsure about the copyright situation of the content in the ChatGPT's answer. I will do the same throughout today's episode. These 2 methods of online search were expressed beautifully in an article in a magazine, Harvard Business Review. Google search returns a list of websites relevant to a query, whereas the generative AI, quote, delivers answers instead of websites. While Google has been the colleague who points us to a book in a library that can answer our question. ChatGPT is the colleague who has already read every book in the library and can answer our question. In theory, anyway. Close quote. 1-3. Which online search method is reliable in life sciences? Now we know some features of the two online search methods. Traditional Google search method is what we have been using extensively. But it takes much time because we need to read many articles, take notes, summarize them in our heads, and interpret the information. In contrast, ChatGPT and other generative AI tools are very easy to use, and they summarize the extensive information for us in a few seconds. Then we would like to ask, is the traditional Google method of online information search still necessary? My answer is, and we want to hear a drum roll here, my answer is yes. This is my personal opinion. Many of you might not be convinced by my simple answer, but I hope that this episode would start our discussion deep into the topic of how to access online information. To give you an idea about why I think that the traditional method is still important, I would like to show you one of the very practical situations where beginning scientists are educated and trained. If you understand this situation, and if you can visualize it by assuming that you are the beginning scientist, then you will be able to think about how to obtain reliable online information yourself and how to process the information. After that, let's look back at the question about the traditional Google search method, and let's think about the answer together. Section 2, Practical Situation, Comprehensive Examination. Let's talk about how a beginning scientist, a new graduate student, will be trained in a graduate school. 2-1 Definitions. Here are brief definitions for two terms so that we are on the same page. One is a graduate student. It is a student who has already graduated from a 4-year college or university and who has entered a graduate program either for a master's degree or for a doctoral degree. Another term is a comprehensive examination. There are many ways a beginning graduate student will be trained in a doctoral program. In this episode, we will talk about the first situation where a student needs to put very much intellectual effort. It is to go through an examination called the comprehensive examination, comprehensive exam or COMP for short. It is also called the qualifying examination. Let me explain this exam a little more. There are 5 points. 1. The purpose of the comprehensive exam is to evaluate a student's knowledge and the ability to develop and perform original scientific research. 2. A student will take this exam usually by the end of the second year of the doctoral program. 3. The formats of the comprehensive exams are different in different institutions and even in different graduate programs of the same institution. Here I will give you a simple example. A student gives an oral presentation about a new research proposal, and this will be presented in front of several professors in the comprehensive exam committee. The professors will evaluate the presentation, often with either a pass or a fail grading. 4. The participating professors will give a pass grade if the student's presentation is good, and more importantly, if the student can convince the professors that the student is capable of intellectual activities in the graduate school. That means that when the student passes, the student is given an official permission to proceed in the graduate program and to start a proposed research. The research will usually take at least several years. If the resulting research is successful in the end, the student will receive a doctoral degree. And 5, these pieces of information will tell you that the student really needs to pass the comprehensive exam. 2-2, visualization that you are taking a comprehensive exam. Now, let's assume that you are a graduate student in life sciences and you are presenting in an oral comprehensive exam. There's a small room that can host, say, 10 people. You are standing at the front of the room. As the audience, sitting in the middle of the room, there will be about 5 faculty members in your college or university. Some of these professors will be the experts in your field, and the others can be outside your field. but all of them are very interested in you and what you're going to present. You will start by introducing yourself briefly. Then you will present a short talk using slides prepared in a program such as the Microsoft PowerPoint. This presentation session will be, for example, 15 minutes long. You will talk about a creative research project that you would like to do in the doctoral program. The project will be related to your research mentor's ongoing research project, but it should be different. So there has to be something new in your proposal. You are going to tell us your research ideas, what you want to do, why you want to do it, and how you want to do it. After your presentation, all professors will ask you questions. This discussion session will be long. It is about 2 hours long. The questions can be anything about what you presented and about anything related to your field. 2-3 Key questions to your research proposal. What are the practical examples of those questions? They are the main point of this practical situation. Here is a part of what I would ask. I have 10 key questions for you. 1. What are known in your field? 2. What are unknown in your field? 3. What has been the core hypothesis in your field? 4. What were the experimental results that led to the core hypothesis? 5. What were the experimental methods and the experimental conditions that led to those results? 6. What is the main hypothesis in your work? 7. How are you going to test your hypothesis? 8. Are your experimental methods different from the methods that led to the original core hypothesis? 9. If they are different, most likely yes, how are they different, and how do the differences impact the interpretations of your experimental data and their data? And 10. After you test your hypothesis, how does your answer contribute to your field? Let me repeat them again because they are so important. 1. What are known in your field? 2. What are unknown in your field? 3. What has been the core hypothesis in your field? 4. What were the experimental results that led to the core hypothesis? 5. What were the experimental methods and the experimental conditions that led to those results? 6. What is the main hypothesis in your work? 7. How are you going to test your hypothesis? 8. Are your experimental methods different from the methods that led to the original core hypothesis? 9. If they are different, again, most likely yes, how are they different, and how do the differences impact the interpretations of your experimental data and their data? And lastly, 10. After you test your hypothesis, how does your answer contribute to your field? This list might sound long to you, but it is actually pretty short because of the following 3 reasons. 1. The key questions that I have just mentioned are only a part of what I would ask. 2. My key questions are so general that I can ask them to any life science student. On top of these general questions, I would ask questions that are specific to your presentation and specific to your field. And 3, note that these are questions from me. Different professors in the same room have different expertise, and they will have different viewpoints with regard to your work. So they will ask you many more questions of different types and at different levels. Your job is to answer all these questions. 2-4. How you would prepare for those key questions. Do you see that the questions are very detailed and very deep? Yes, I agree. Do you think that you can find those questions and answers in textbooks? No, they are not in textbooks. You can learn the hints of them mostly in published papers. Almost all of the papers are available online. They are our excellent food for thought, but almost all the papers are written without comprehensive exams in mind, and no papers are written directly with your work in mind. Actually, there should be no papers like what your work will show, because your work is supposed to be new. One exception is that your work will test the existing hypotheses that people already worked on before, but otherwise, there should be no papers with your work in mind. So you will need to read the published papers very carefully, and you will need to collect the information necessary for you. You will do that from multiple parts of a paper and from multiple papers. Also, all papers are based on previously published papers, and those previous papers are cited. You will want to read them as well. You will also want to visit the websites of professional societies and learn from them as an overview. In later mini-series, we will discuss the details of how to read papers and how to prepare for a comprehensive exam. Please wait for a while. Side note 3. Now, this comprehensive exam could appear a little intimidating to some students. But please remember that we, the professors, like students. We would love to see the students grow intellectually. An official purpose of a comprehensive exam is to test whether a student has the right capability to proceed in a doctoral program. But personally, I view a comprehensive exam as an excellent educating and training opportunity for you. When you prepare for a comprehensive exam, I would recommend you to keep asking those key questions to yourself, keep searching for the answers, and keep thinking about the answers. Then you will slowly develop solid knowledge base in your field and solid skills of reading and thinking critically. It will take time, but eventually you will grow as a mature life scientist. The comprehensive exam is an outstanding starting point of your journey. This is the end of part 1. Let's wrap up today's episode. We have discussed how we would search for life science information online. We talked about 2 major methods, the traditional Google search and the search based on generative AI tools. I wanted you to get a solid idea about how important such online information is. To do that, we discussed the comprehensive exam in a doctoral program and the key questions that I would ask you. This is it for today. The next episode will be part 2 of this discussion. Before listening to the next episode, I would like you to think about how you would obtain online information to prepare for my comprehensive exam questions. Would you use a traditional Google search method and read papers and websites of professional societies? Or would you use generative AI tools and read the summarized information? In the next episode, we will continue our discussion. Specifically, we will talk about how ChatGPT will answer my questions, and we will talk about to what extent those answers are useful. Your actions. I have created a more systematic list of comprehensive exam questions. They are general key questions so that you can use them when you prepare for any research proposal in addition to a comprehensive exam. I would be happy to share it with you as a free resource. Please go to my website, synaptologica.com/2. If you want to have some topics discussed in my podcast, please let me know. Send me an email at ideas@synaptologica.com. Thank you for joining me in today's episode of Foundational Skills in Life Sciences. I am Dr. Synaptologica. I'm looking forward to connecting with you again. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.